Let's address this Joel Embiid thing here right out of the gate because you have a lot of 76er fans with just misplaced anger right now, trying to blame Kuminga for the knee injury. And there were a lot of instances in last night's game where it's like if you didn't play ball or you don't hoop, and I'm not talking about a high level, just pick up wherever, whatever. There were certain things that maybe you misinterpreted out on the floor, starting with Draymond and Joel in a collision where Joel at 300 pounds dove at Draymond's knees, and people are like, "Why didn't Draymond play the ball?" Well, he was trying not to be in a wheelchair, right? And then you had the Pat Bev grab of Kuminga as he was launching. And it was like, that's who Pat Bev is. He's never going to give up on a play. And Kuminga's so dang fast. I think thought he could wrap him up before he got in the air. Another bang, bang, dangerous play. And then right around that time, Kuminga goes down for the loose ball. And what he's doing is he's trying to leverage the ball. He's reaching for the ball and he's turning so he can have leverage and rip the ball away. Unfortunately, it was on Embiid's left knee. He hyperextends it. He leaves the game. Now, I am guilty of accusing Embiid of ducking Jokic. But the issue is, if the other day, what was it, Saturday or wherever it was, if he had warmed up and said he can't go and he didn't play and that was that, I would have never thought that. No one would have made a big deal about it. The issue is it's been like a 2-year thing. He hasn't played in Denver in like 2 years. First, you hear it's all about championship, right? Embiid, he doesn't care about MVP or stats or any of this, right? But his knee is hurt, so he's sitting out. But now he plays against the Warriors when clearly he shouldn't have. He was wobbly. He was off balance the whole time. To me, I think he was out there because he wanted to remain eligible for the MVP. Some of you are going to say, oh, he was pure pressured. No. That's on the organization in Joel. Like, he really went out there because of the flack? So I think Sixer fans today, if you're angry, you've got to be angry at your organization for how they're handling him. There was no reason for him to be out there. It was silly. Unless, again, he's chasing accolades and not what really matters. But I guess who am I to say what really matters, right? But I'm sorry. Prayers out to Joel. And I think that maybe it could be a blessing in disguise because now he can take a few weeks off and rest his body. We know his durability issues and no one will question anything, legitimacy of it. But it's just like, which way is it? This wasn't just some isolated incident. This has been an ongoing thing. And if you go through my content over like the last 4 years, dozens of times I've brought up, hey, Joel's got to stop hitting the floor. He's got to stop hitting the floor unnecessarily at that size. And it is what it is, man. Again, prayers out to Joel. I hope that he's able to recharge and be 100% by the playoffs. And he can stop chasing whatever numbers or whatever it is. And because I think they have a real shot this year. I like what Morey's done with their roster. They come in completely depleted, missing their backcourt of Tyrese Maxey, DeAnthony Melton, no Batum, no Morris, right? But hey, this is the NBA. No one's going to feel sorry for you. We've been down bad all year long. And so it was good to see the Warriors take advantage of it. Now, Steph, 37 on 12 of 17 shooting, 8 threes. The easiest 37 points he's had all season long. And the context matters so much because there have been so many games where Steph has had to do so much heavy lifting. Yes, he's played hero ball at times, and that's kind of a chicken or egg thing. It's like, well, what else are we going to do? If we're struggling that bad, he's got to try to do more, right? But this came within the flow of the offense. This is how you would like it to look when Steph has a big shooting night. Where it's not too much of a physical burden on him. And again, taking advantage of this depleted Sixers team. But I think the bigger story is, you heard it before the game, Kerr is going to stick with the Draymond Kuminga front court starting. They're going to stick with it for a while. And, I had tweeted out like, hey, man, we kind of had to bully Buddy into it. We kind of, you're right, like we've been complaining. He's like, all right, we're going to stick with it. But then Clay was a late game scratch under the weather. So Podziemski gets the start in the backcourt with Steph. And maybe it's unfair. It's a very small sample size, right? But was it a coincidence that we had 4 guys in double digits, almost a fifth? Draymond had 9 points, and just a spread offensive attack without Clay out there. And this is what I was talking about in yesterday's video of Clay kind of disturbing the natural pecking order of how things should be going right now. Because at this point, I don't think they should be prioritizing getting Clay going and getting Clay shots over Kuminga or over Wiggins. And that's not to say that there's not a matchup on a night where it's like, oh, Clay's hot, let's feed him the ball. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, generally speaking, on a night to night basis, it shouldn't be like, oh, let's make sure Clay gets his 15 shots before Kuminga or Wiggins are getting involved and getting their touches. And last night, you saw more pressure at the rim, more downhill attacks. And if he can eat off Kuminga and Wiggins getting fed the ball more, I think Clay will be far more efficient moving forward. So I'm not trying to say, oh, Clay's got to go and all these things. Like, that'll be his decision, I think, ultimately. But part of that decision is, are you going to understand the pecking order and things are changing here? Nothing stays the same forever. And I think you heard Steve Kerr kind of alluding to that with his post-game comments. Now, you saw the thumbnail with Draymond, and that's kind of the big number is now that Draymond's returned, Kuminga and Wiggins plus minus is off the charts. And there is no doubt that Draymond, there's so much nuance to chemistry, especially on a basketball team, right? And it's such a magic. There's no science to it. And you add a little of this, you take out some of that, and what works is what works. And so there's no doubt that Draymond, in a way, I think has unlocked it. I also think that it's timing based. I think that we've seen Wiggins kind of building to this over the last few weeks. And so he's hitting his stride at the right time. They're able to play 5 out and play a lot faster. Draymond's pushing the pace, right? And now that he's shooting the 3, you're seeing him 5 out, back cuts, get to the floor. And then I think most importantly, though, defensively is the communication and accountability that he brings to the table out there. And again, Philly, not what they are typically last night, but the rotations looked better. They were sharper because they're doubling Embiid. They're helping a pass away, and then helping the help, right? There were some X outs. And so that was very encouraging. And what I'm seeing so far, honestly, is the Draymond suspension may have been a turning point and a blessing in disguise in the season, because I like the way he's handling himself. I think he's learning to communicate in a different way. I think Chris Paul has helped with that. You listen to their interview on his podcast. And I think that dealing with Jordan Poole and Wiseman has also prepared Steph, Draymond, and Clay, and Steve to better handle Kuminga, Podziemski, and Trace. Granted, different players, but I think they all learned from that experience. And Draymond, you heard it himself. He said, hey, Kuminga's starting to carry us, right? And that's always been the vision. This started when they took Wiseman, Moody, Kuminga, all these. That was the vision. Like, as the core gets older, they can't do as much of the heavy lifting. And you want to talk about just in the nick of time? Jonathan Kuminga has officially arrived. 7 straight games with 20-plus points. But again, contextually, what it looks like, he is consistently making good defenders look helpless, putting them in the basket, end-to-end explosiveness, selective three-point shot taking, and it's all coming together at the right time. And so I hope as the roster gets healthy, guys return, it doesn't disrupt, I think, this, what I'm calling, I guess, a new pecking order. It all starts with Steph. We understand that. But I think if you get Kuminga and Wiggins going, it opens up everything for everyone else. And you're able to lean on their youth and athleticism. And I say youth, Wiggins, we know, but Wiggins is still in his physical prime. And he's showing that again, right? Was he getting up for Embiid there, the former Kansas Jayhawks, but he's got pep in his step. And so it's encouraging moving forward. Now, before I get to my closing thoughts on this road trip moving forward, Underdog Fantasy, you see the code, use it, Alchemy, get 100% bonus on your first deposit up to $100. It really helps support the channel. I have a quota and I'd like to hit it. Again, you can support the channel. I've got Super Bowl picks for you. I am highlighting the 2 running backs. Christian McCaffrey, I'm going to go higher than 92.5 yards, because I think the one thing we are seeing is Kyle has learned he cannot abandon the run game. And I think when you look at that Chiefs defense, that's the one area where I think they are vulnerable. And then you look at Pacheco for the Chiefs. And I think what Kansas City and Andy Reid are going to do is they're going to throw a lot of bubble screens to try to neutralize the pass rush, get the ball out of Mahomes' hands fast and quickly. And I think Pacheco is going to be the beneficiary of that. So I have him higher than 3 receptions. Those are my 2 picks for the Super Bowl. Underdog Fantasy, the link is in the description. Now, we head out on a road trip. You got Memphis, Atlanta, Brooklyn, and then I think it's Philly again. But those first 3 games, Would it be asking too much to get all of them? I get it, it's on the road, we're still undermanned, but I mean, we're not only are we looking better, it feels like we're due to catch some teams, catch a break, right? Catch some teams at the wrong time for them, just like we did with the Sixers last night. And so it feels like we're due a little bit of luck. We've got a little bit of momentum. And we also have that dog behind us of a sense of urgency, right? It's now or never. They're either going to make a push to it or not. It felt nasty last night at the beginning of the telecast. He goes, the Lakers lost tonight and so, and so the Warriors are just 2 games out of the 10th spot. It's like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? So, yeah, encouraging end to the homestand, and you've got a weaker road schedule. Can they build momentum and build some wins? As always, hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.